Seems like I'm not the only one that is like sick of dating apps and wants to try different events to meet.
Where do you find men? Honestly, this is a question that I see everywhere.
Okay, so I recently went to a singles event and it was 90% women.
If you're ready to drop the dusties and date wealthy men, then listen to her.
Imagine being so desperate, where you'll do anything for a man's money. Sad case indeed.
There's nothing worse than when you're in a bar and there's a guy but he never asks to buy you a drink.
This is the summer that I find my husband, or at least try really hard to do so.
So I went speed dating for the second time. I've come to the conclusion that all the attraction...
They will be attending singles events until 90. Majority of men aren't interested. Kindly subscribe to the channel as it further supports us in our work. Thank you.
If you're single, you live in Chicago, and you don't have plans this Thursday, watch this video. My name's Ashley Coates, and I throw singles events almost every Thursday around Chicago. And this week, we're going to be in River North at 7:30. It's our first ever rooftop event. It's going to be like 90 degrees, and we're going to have over 100 singles ready to mingle.
Where do you find men? Honestly, this is a question that I see everywhere across social media, in person, and all these Facebook groups I'm in. And I know a lot of people are feeling burned out by being on dating apps. And like, if you are, I totally get it. So it happens at the grocery store, at bars, at workout classes. Wherever you go, there's always people.
Okay, so I recently went to a singles event and it was 90% women. And I was wondering, like, where's all the dudes? I don't know, but they're not there. And that's cool, not like I care.
Have you guys tried the forest? The bears are there. Men gave up on dating. Once you're told you're worthless and replaceable long enough, you learn to avoid what tells you that. We only invest in ourselves now, unfortunately. At home, work, or the gym, working to better themselves, knowing a relationship isn't worth it in this society. We checked out. Modern women can date each other and will go overseas. This is the result of pushing men away. Even when these women are actively targeting men for these events, the men still aren't willing to go. The reason why women are having trouble finding men at single events is that some men have already experienced what it's like to attend these gatherings in the first place. They know it's a waste of their time. Most of the time, the women who show up to these events are rude, shallow, and dismissive, making it an unappealing experience for any man who genuinely wants to connect. Men aren't interested in walking into a situation where they're automatically set up to fail. Many of these women bring high expectations but offer little in return. They'll judge a man based on his appearance, career, or the type of car he drives without taking the time to actually understand who he is. For men, these events feel less like an opportunity to meet someone and more like a competition where they're being scrutinized for things that often don't even matter in the long run.
This is a question for all my girlies in DC. Where are we meeting the men? Because it's not Hinge, it's not Tinder, and it's not Bumble. I just graduated from Wisconsin. I'm living in DC, post-grad, want to meet some guys. Where are we meeting them? Because I'm telling you right now, it's not Hinge. Oh, I just realized my tag's on. It's not Hinge. I need to find some guys to go on some dates with. Like, where are we meeting these guys, girls? Tell me.
Okay, here's the outfit for speed dating tonight. I got a little dress going and then these little shoes, like sandals. It's indoors, but I brought a jean jacket to kind of like play down the outfit a little bit, but this is it. So am I expecting to meet my husband tonight? No. Is it going to be a fun Monday night thing to do and like get me comfortable talking to guys again because I haven't been on a first date in forever? Yes.
Speed dating was fun. Once I got there, I started looking around, trying to figure out where all the men are. Because when I first got there, 3 men were there. So there were a total of 8 men at the speed dating event. With guess how many women? How many women were in attendance? I'm going to go with a good 35, 40 women were in attendance. Now, by the time we got to the speed dating part, a few women left. They was like, it's not giving what I thought it was going to give, and that's fine. But I did stay, okay?
Basically, the ratio of women didn't add up to the ratio of men. Only 3 men attended that single event, while there were over 35 women. I don't even blame the men for not showing up to these things. You have to understand, when these women go to these events, they're not there to build genuine connections or to meet people halfway. They're looking for their Prince Charming, someone who's willing to swoop in, save them, and fulfill all their fantasies. And keep in mind, these women still have their insane expectations. The funny part is that most of the women started to leave when they realized the type of man they were looking for wasn't there. From the men's perspective, events like this are a waste of time. Why bother showing up when the odds are stacked against you, not just in numbers, but in terms of expectations? These men are being judged not for who they are, but for how closely they align with a fantasy. And when they inevitably don't measure up, they're dismissed without a second thought.
I am 24, almost 25 years old, and I have never been in a serious relationship, and the dating apps are not working for me. Because eventually I would like to be dating someone and get married, like, obviously down the line, but, like, I need to start putting in some effort to get to that point. So I'm trying to force myself to go on more frequent outings by myself, just to, like, get myself in a situation where maybe I could organically meet someone. So that's what I'm doing today.
It's Saturday in Dallas. This is episode 2 of Trying to Find Husbands in the Wild. We're in Knox right now. We just walked the trail and got a mama bowl. And now we're just walking around. Honestly, there's some guys walking around in Fiore shorts. Very hot on the trail also. But how do you really stop a guy who's running shirtless on the trail to say, hey, I think you're attractive?
We've done the
Are you single?
Healthy eye contact.
Come with me to go husband hunting on the Chicago lakefront. I've had a ton of people, boys and girls, commenting on my videos that we will not find our husbands in Chicago at a bar. So let's go try out walking up and down the lakefront, see if we run into anybody interesting.
The problem is when modern women say they're looking for a husband, especially when they're in their late 30s. They're doing so because they need help, not because they genuinely want to build a partnership or love someone for who they are. By that stage, many of them have spent their prime years partying or pursuing fleeting relationships, only to realize they don't have the stability or support they need. Now they're looking for someone to save them from financial struggles, emotional emptiness, or even the reality of aging alone. It's less about love and more about convenience. There wouldn't be a bunch of women hunting men to marry them if they were feminine women.
There's nothing worse than when you're in a bar and there's a guy just staring at you every time you look in his direction, but he never asks to buy you a drink. Like, great, now I feel super uncomfortable and I don't even have a free drink for my troubles.
Shut up, bitch! Ladies, it's May, and once again, I have to ask you the question, okay? If a man is not obsessed with you, what is attractive about that man? I can't like you. What do you mean you're not obsessed with me? I'm immediately disgusted. Immediately don't want it. Immediately off it. Convince you to like me? Convince the immediately not happening.
If you're ready to drop the dusties and date wealthy men, then listen the hell up. If you're broke and you think this is gold digger behavior, then just keep scrolling, keep it moving. Number 1, go to the places that he is at now. This might be the most obvious one, but it cannot be understated how important it is. And when might I go to these places, you may ask? Now you want early evening, when he's finished work on a weekday. You don't want to be just going to the club on a Friday and Saturday. The kind of man that you want is not going to be there, I promise. Perhaps the most obvious is high-end restaurants, bars, hotels. Bonus points if it's in a luxury high-rise apartment building. But have you ever thought about going for a hot girl walk in a wealthy neighborhood? Then joining a high-end gym can also be a good opportunity. But if you're anything like me and you get in a bit of a sweaty, messy state when you're working out, then maybe avoid that one. You could try more bougie supermarkets as well. I know a lot of finance bros shop at Waitrose on their lunch break. I do shop at M&S and it is kind of just full of pensioners, so miss that one out.
We have to understand that this husband hunting trend is all about finding men with money. These women aren't looking for compatibility. They're looking for financial security. They have a specific list of men they target. Men in finance, men who work in banks, doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, or anyone with a stable and lucrative career. It's all over TikTok, by the way. It's a calculated approach, driven by their need to secure a comfortable lifestyle after years of independence or poor financial decisions. They see these men as providers or even as a retirement plan rather than as partners. These women are desperately in survival mode.
Actually really fun. The guys were not what I typically go for, but they were all pretty nice and seemed normal. And one of them called me a ray of sunshine, and I was like, well, that's adorable. And I felt like really good. I felt like heard, and I felt like I could be myself, and I asked a lot of questions, I thought. And I was like, oh, I'm going to walk away with a lot of matches. And for me, I can tell you right now, I don't think there was any real romantic feeling for me for any of them. I wasn't interested, but I always give people a second chance. And I had 0 matches today. But dang, it is hard out here. On to the next one, I guess.
I'm hosting my first in-person speed dating event in early February, and my hypothesis going into advertising this speed dating event was that more men would want to do the speed dating than women. Why did I think that? I thought that because online dating for men is kind of like one of those 80-20 things. 20% of the men get 80% of the matches and vice versa. So like 80% of the men get 20% of the matches. It's pretty lopsided for online dating, whether it's just like guys not being up to women's standards or not knowing how to like sufficiently build an online profile or how to flirt with people online. Like it's all a skill, right? But I thought my impression was, my hypothesis going into this was that there would be more men interested in speed dating than women. And it turns out that that's very not true. I've only had one man submit an online like interest form, and I've had like 25 women. It's a very small speed dating event, so I can only have 8 women and 8 men. But now I'm like, oh my God, is this the Bachelor? Are we doing the Bachelor? Do I need to change things here? I'm a little thrown off. Why? Why is this happening? If you have any insight into this, let me know.
The second a man shows up, he's already lost. No point. 90% of women going on speed dates will just be selectively looking for superficial qualities, just like Tinder. So 8 women can tell the guy he's too short or doesn't make enough money. I can't speak for neurotypicals, but the idea of a high-pressure, sell yourself quickly kinda dynamic feels like a miserable experience. This seems pretty common. Seen it on here where only women show up, and locally where they are always looking for men. For any speed dating event, the ratio will always be off between men and women. There are simply more women looking to settle down after they've spent years playing the field. And a singles event seems like the perfect place for them to try to find someone willing to take on the role of provider. Essentially, the sucker they believe will save them from their past choices. These events aren't about building real connections for many of these women. They're about finding someone who can check off their list of financial and social expectations. The way speed dating is set up today feels like men walking into a group full of red flags. Many of the women attending come with unrealistic expectations, emotional baggage, and a sense of entitlement. They aren't necessarily looking for an equal partner. Instead, they're hunting for someone who can meet their demands without questioning what they bring to the table. Their goal isn't mutual growth. It's finding someone who can improve their lifestyle or provide them with security, regardless of compatibility.
You guys are always asking me, where will I see rich men that would date me and spend money on me? Stick around and I'll tell you how you're going to actually meet rich men.
Sitting at a bar alone is not how you're going to meet a six-figure man. And if you want to know the best way, then keep watching.
They don't make men like they used to. I'm going to say it loud and proud, because tell me why. Men these days, they don't want to do an oil change. They don't know how to change a tire. They don't know how to do anything. If Google doesn't know, babe, they don't know. Tell me why. My dad knows every single thing to do with his hands. I could ask my dad to literally build a bridge for me to get to the other side of the road. That man will do it within 1 hour. You ask a man this day and age, hey, can you tell me how to check my tire pressure? Yeah, let me Google that. What do you mean you have to Google it? Sick of having men that don't know how to literally use their hands.
First of all, there are plenty of men that know how to do these things. They're just either married or friend zoned by you because you want the guy in finance that comes from wealth, that makes over 200K a year, and that is also 6 feet tall. That guy can't fit under a car as easily, at least. And even if he could, why would he when he could just pay somebody to do it? Ladies, the fact is that if you want the man that can use his hands, then go for the man that dirties his hands.
We definitely keep getting sidelined, friend-zoned, or rejected. Those that can't do are paying for it to be done. Those that can do are overlooked by you. I like to keep my peace, and it ain't worth the hassle to do otherwise. All I heard in that first bit was, I can do nothing by myself, and it's someone else's problem. I believe she's looking in the wrong places because there are men out there who could do those things, like fix a car, change a tire, or handle other practical tasks. These women are just walking past those guys, often dismissing them because they don't fit the image or lifestyle they've built up in their minds. They're searching for a fantasy while ignoring the reality of good, hard-working men who are capable and willing to contribute in meaningful ways. But here's the double standard. What about the women who can't cook, clean, or even bake a cake? They just hire someone to do it, and nobody bats an eye as long as the task gets done right. Yet men are expected to know how to do everything themselves, fix things around the house, handle car troubles, and still be providers. If they don't, they're criticized or labeled as less than.
Come with us to a Thursday event. Pep talk before we leave. No attractive men found. Maybe next time.
Hear me out. Maybe it's just me. I really don't think it is, but we'll just say it is. Every time I download a dating app, I immediately fucking regret it. I've been a good person. I've been doing good things. And this is what I get from my matches. I'm a confident person, but every time I go on there, I'm extremely humbled. What the actual fuck?
I'd like to maybe give a different perspective on this statistic that we're always hearing that women only swipe on 20% of the men on the dating apps and in real life, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, women are pickier, and yes, we swipe on way fewer men than men do on women. But I don't think it's the same 20% of men. If we were all swiping on men on these dating apps, all of us would swipe on completely different men. So yes, we might be swiping on only 20% of men, but it's not always the same type of men. So the statistic that's out that women only want the 6 foot, 6-inch, 6-figure guy is completely not true, at least when it comes to myself and my friend group, because that's what works for us. When we go out, none of us are all vying for the same guy. We all like completely different men. So, yeah, maybe it's 20% of men, but everyone's got a chance because everyone's preferences and attractions are different.
But the bottom line is, women are swiping on only 20% of the men. That's just the reality. These women are all competing for the same exact type of guys. The tall, attractive, high-earning men who are considered the top tier. If that wasn't the case, we wouldn't see the extreme imbalance in dating apps, singles events, or even general relationship dynamics. This narrow focus is why so many women are struggling to find partners. They're chasing the same small pool of men who, frankly, have the upper hand in the dating market. These men have so many options that they aren't rushing to settle down. Why would they? If every woman is vying for their attention, they can afford to be selective or even avoid commitment altogether.
This video is for the single girls in New York City. I have cracked the code. We are no longer doing dating apps. I deleted all my dating apps. I'm now, every Saturday morning, coming to Central Park, grabbing a coffee, grabbing my best friend, walking, and seeing all the hot guys that are training for the marathon.
Ladies of Chicago, happy Thursday. Let's do an after hours husband hunting debrief. So it's currently Thursday at 9:30 p.m. and I found exactly where all the finance bros go out after work on Thursday nights. So I was at Boss Bar in River North and I saw every type of finance bro from the ages of 25 to 40 still in their suits looking super cute. They were definitely out at like work happy hours prior and wanted to go out with their friends afterwards. So that being said, ladies, if you're looking for a finance bro in Chicago, highly recommend getting to Boss Bar around 7 p.m. on a Thursday and waiting for all the finance bros to flood in.
This is the summer that I find my husband, or at least try really hard to do so. I'm going to have a lot of free time this summer. And like I said, I'm working on my summer glow up plan. I'm in a great emotional and mental place and ready to find him. So if you know of any places, conferences, events, anything going on in kind of the Dallas, more Dallas than Fort Worth area this summer, comment, DM me, whatever, let me know because I am ready. I'm ready to get out there, mingle, try new activities, meet people. And if you know somebody who wants to maybe go on a first date, let me know.
There wouldn't be this much struggle for women to find men to marry if that was truly their goal. The truth is, marriage isn't always the priority for many modern women until it becomes a last resort. Now we see women storming into gyms, churches, professional networking events, and even social media in desperation, trying to find potential husbands. The irony is, they're the cause of their own struggle. For years, some of these women have prioritized careers, independence, over building meaningful connections. They've been sold the idea that they can have it all without compromise, only to find themselves facing the harsh reality that the men they now want may no longer be interested. As we all know, women have many choices in their prime, and when many of them choose to ignore those choices and continue playing the field, they find themselves regretting not acting on those many choices and opportunities later on.
Why a lot of successful women are still single? It is because a lot of men do not have any other thing to offer a woman apart from money. So when you make money as a woman, they get intimidated.
Are you stupid?
We are back and we are trying to find a man in the wild. Today, we are on the ferry. Where are we going? Horseshoe Bay. Horseshoe Bay in Vancouver, Canada. It doesn't appear that there are any available men on this ferry. However, it does seem like a very cute place for a date. It would be such a good, third date. So, I'd say, I'd give it a 4 out of 10, but it's just fun to ride in general.
Can someone tell me why guys just aren't trying anymore?
Well, sure, I can explain that. It's because a lot of women, or rather I should say, the loudest women out there, have actually demonstrated quite well that there's nothing worth trying for.
They can't even take us out for a simple date. I keep seeing on the internet how everyone keeps getting treated.
Really? Everyone?
And I'm just we can't even get the bare minimum?
But what exactly constitutes the bare minimum? No one can seem to come to a consensus on that. So that is a large part of the problem. Some individuals think that $200 first dates are the bare minimum, while others are actually just satisfied with coffee. So some really have to make up their minds.
And it's really sad that it's a universal kind of experience.
No, it's really not universal, because a lot of women are having absolutely no problem at all dating, while others seem to be having quite a time of it.
It's so easy to please us.
Really?
I would enjoy just someone visiting me at work and bringing me my favorite coffee. How hard is that?
See, that's not an unreasonable expectation, but there are those women out there who seem to want the moon, but couldn't even tell a person where in the solar system it is.
It's so bad out there, we don't care anymore, 'cause it's a waste of our time. And quite frankly, you women get annoying and are very immature emotionally. I've had 2 women laugh at me at the suggestion of a coffee date for it being too cheap, too informal, and I've just learned that I don't want a woman that can't sit and chat over coffee. Mental peace and good health are priceless. There are plenty of reasons why men don't try and take women on dates anymore, and it's not just about the fear of rejection. It's about the pattern of disrespect and manipulation they've experienced. There's the scenario where she takes advantage of him and uses him for a free meal, viewing the date as an opportunity for a night out rather than a chance to connect. Then there's the scenario where she has a roster of other men lined up, treating him like just another option to pass the time, with no intention of settling down or taking him seriously. Some women show up with unrealistic expectations, judging men not on their character but on their ability to impress or spend money. Others come to the date still hung up on past relationships, bringing emotional baggage and leaving men feeling like they're just a placeholder or a therapist. Men have come to the realization that trying is often just not worth it.
All right, we need to make this happen. Seems like I'm not the only one that is like sick of dating apps and wants to try different events to meet people. My life has been super chaotic lately. I ended up going to Coachella last minute, and then just like some other work things came up. So I want to make more of an effort to go to some of these events and try to get like a group of girls to go, so we're not like by ourselves. Cause yeah, like these events seem really fun, but it can be like intimidating to just like walk up to a singles event as a female by yourself. So let's try to get like a group going.
The gym at 6 a.m. is where the real CEOs are. Tired of dating apps? Your future millionaire is likely one squat rack away at your nearest high caliber gym. Here are 3 things you need to know from meeting him. All right, number 3, when to go? Well, successful people leave clues. High caliber men automate their routines for efficiency. So instead of evening workouts, which may be reserved for networking or client dinners, they hit that gym early. Your best bet? Weekday mornings around 6 a.m. when they're just starting their day.
Yeah, this is nonsense. High caliber men aren't wasting their time entertaining women looking for a sugar daddy. These men are focused on their goals, whether it's their workouts, careers, businesses, or personal growth. They value their time and energy too much to get caught up in superficial games. They're not interested in women who only see them as a paycheck or a status symbol. Women who actually believe they have a chance with these men are often living in a fantasy, wanting to be lied to, so they can cling to the idea that these high-value men will choose them despite their clear ulterior motives. But the reality is, those men can see through the act. They can smell desperation from a mile away and know when a woman is targeting them for their money, lifestyle, or connections.
Every single day, men leave their homes with no bag, no water bottle, no lip balm, no extra layer in case they get cold, or hand sanitizer or lotion. Just keys and a wallet shoved in their pocket. I don't know, but it kind of sounds chaotic and reckless to me.
I just want you to know, when I do find my husband, eventually, okay, because it's going to happen. Maybe he's at Afrotech, maybe not. But you know, okay, so the reason why I think he's at Afrotech is because I talked to a psychic a couple months ago, and she was saying that I would find my husband, or she didn't say husband, she said person, but I'm going to find my husband through work, like at like a work event or something. And I'm like, well, I don't have work events, so it must be a conference. And I know my husband is Black, so it has to be Black conference, Afrotech. You see what I mean? So anyways, when I do find my husband, I'm gonna be so obnoxious. I'm gonna be like, you see what happens when you like wait and you're like intentional about dating. Meanwhile, y'all been watching me swipe on Tinder for the past 2 years. Anyways, do as I say, not as I do.
Lady, I think you need to go get your money back because you got scammed. This is crazy. This woman actually paid a psychic to tell her when she's going to meet her husband. What does that tell you? It shows just how desperate some women have become, to the point where they're willing to believe in anything or anyone that gives them hope. What's even more telling is the emotional vulnerability behind this behavior. It screams fear. Fear of being alone, fear of missing out, and fear of realizing that their approach to relationships might be flawed. Instead of using that fear as a catalyst for growth, they throw money at the problem and hope for a miracle. And by the way, she still haven't found that husband. Guess the psychic one.
Where do I find men to have 2 dates a week? So I'm using free dating apps, Bumble, Hinge and Raya, and I guess I spend on them approximately from 30 minutes to 60 minutes each day. Of course, you need to invest your time. Earlier, I preferred to chat for many days before going to any kind of date with the guy, but now I guess it depends. I'm fine to agree for a date pretty soon. Like, I try to be flexible about it. So do my men know I actually date other men? That's a question I've been recently asked by my friend. When I was telling her about my dating life, that today I'm meeting this guy and tomorrow I'm meeting that guy. And in my opinion, until it's settled, until you actually decided that you're together and you're like exclusive and you talked about that, you're free.
It's pretty clear what's happening here. This is a woman who's on the hunt for free meals, plain and simple. She goes on dates with multiple guys, stringing them along without any intention of pursuing anything serious. Of course, she won't tell her dates that she's seeing other men because she knows they'd immediately ghost her. This is how modern women are taking advantage of men in today's dating landscape, using deception and manipulation to milk as much as they can from those who are genuinely looking for a connection. What makes this even worse is the growing trend of women building rosters of men. These aren't potential partners, they're backup plans and providers for various needs. One guy is for dinners, another for emotional support, another for errands, and maybe a wild card thrown in for excitement.
Okay, this one might piss off some men. Don't care. Come for me. I genuinely want to know, like, what are you referring to when you ask a woman, what do you bring to the table? Because, like, what do you need from us? What are you looking for? It just seems like such a weak man mentality thing to ask a woman what she brings to the table. I'm not a waitress, okay, first of all. And second of all, let's just be honest. There is nothing that a man can do for me that I can't do for myself. Like, I can make my own money, and I can pay my own bills, and I can raise my own kids. I can buy myself flowers. You know, I can pleasure myself and hit the spot every single freaking time. So, like, I just want to know what men mean when they say, what do you bring to the table? Like, well, what do you bring to the table? What are you doing for me? How are you making my life better?
All men want is peace, love, and support. They essentially want to be loved for who they are rather than what they can provide. And here's the problem. All of the things that you just listed that you don't need from a man that you can do yourself, they're all things that are outside of just loving him for who he is as a person, right? You're talking about all things that he would physically provide to you. He doesn't want those things to be the sole reason why you're in a relationship with him. And so he doesn't expect those items to be provided by you. He cares about what you can provide emotionally. Are you going to be his peace? Are you going to provide him love? Are you going to mentally, emotionally support him?
Well, this doesn't make sense, madam. If you can pleasure yourself and do all the things that men can do, then why bother trying to look for them? If you don't think a man can bring you any type of value, then there's no point in a man wasting his time trying to get with you. The fact that she asks, "What can you bring to the table?" is proof she's never been in a healthy relationship where she would have experienced what a man truly brings to the table. She's got this "I don't need a man" attitude, and frankly, no man wants that. It's not about needing someone, but about building something together. Once again, to be clear, men are very simple creatures when it comes to relationships. At the top of their priorities are peace and respect. A man is more likely to be attracted to a woman who brings calm and understanding into his life than someone who's constantly demanding or dismissive. When a woman approaches dating with the mindset that she doesn't need a man, It shows a lack of understanding of the dynamics of a healthy, balanced relationship.
This one might get me into a lot of trouble, but if you as a woman think that saying, "Where are all the good men?" or "Good men are few and far between, good luck finding one," if you think that will help your cause as if it brings you closer to finding a good man, it will actually do the exact opposite. Because when a good man hears a woman saying this, it only confirms to him that she is not so unlucky that she's never run across a good man. It's that she doesn't value the good men that she's run across. But here she is, playing victim, which really, really, really annoys him.
That's correct. Many women who scream, "Where are the good men?" have already had plenty of chances to secure that man, but chose to ignore him. They overlooked or dismissed him when he wasn't flashy enough, didn't have the status they craved, or didn't fit the bad boy image they were chasing. The only time they start asking for a good man is when reality hits them where it hurts, whether it's loneliness or the realization that their value in the dating market has declined. That's the only time modern women ask for good men.